Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to the second episode of our journey through Vietnam and Malaysia.
I hope you enjoyed the first episode, so now I am taking you on the second part of our adventures through Asia. In this part, I will eat a sandwich, drink some not-so-cheap wine in a medieval cellar with knights, and chase monkeys around. As a technology channel, we will also talk about Samsung products, but only those that, surprisingly, you can find in pharmacies. Most importantly, we will finally fly to Malaysia, where many exciting things will happen. I will spend 2 days in the hospital and show you the bill from there. We will talk about rehabilitation and about what my mom grows in the garden. There will also be some automotive curiosities. We will take a look at premium cars that are hard to find in Europe. I will also show you what rural tuning looks like in Malaysia. Every Golf owner will feel right at home here. The rest will be green with envy. In this episode, we will visit my parents' new home. Since we are also going to meet my aunt and uncle there, we will check out their new place too. Of course, I will tell you how much it all cost. Those and many other interesting facts will be coming up in a moment. Stay tuned. You probably remember that the previous episode ended on Mount Taku. On the way down, we talked about the hardships of life and the desire to move to Malaysia. If you have not seen that episode yet, you have to catch up on it. The link is in the top right corner of the screen. Even though we might have ended the previous episode there, I have to surprise you. The day was far from over, as right after visiting temples on Mount Taku, we went to the Cham Towers. It is a complex of historic Cham Towers located in Phan, Thiet, Binh Thuan province. Probably no one told you this in geography class, at least I did not have it in my curriculum. The Cham are people from Southeast Asia who used to inhabit the area of present-day Vietnam and Cambodia. They were the creators of the Kingdom of Kompa, which existed from the 2nd all the way until the 19th century. However, it was eventually conquered by the Vietnamese. It is worth emphasizing that in Polish, we do not say Lud Chamov, but rather Lud Chamov. Even though they lost their state, they preserved their identity, language, and traditions, which makes them one of the most remarkable communities in this region. The temples we visited are dated from the 7th to the 13th century.
We will explore this area. Things are unclear here.
Mainly since there are no signs.
It is nice there. We will go down there, I saw that.
There are some steps there. There is a way down, so it looks like we can be there. No one is yelling at us yet. Actually, no one has yelled at us here yet, by the way.
Speaking of yelling and any unpleasant incidents, we Googled it, and according to crime statistics, it is actually much more dangerous in Ireland when it comes to things like assaults, beatings, and weird crazy stuff than in Vietnam.
I actually feel super safe here. Of course, on the road, the safety is kind of average.
I mean, it is safe, but it feels like all the people drive wherever and however they want.
Just see for yourselves.
Well, it looks like it was meant for tourists or was supposed to be at first, but someone abandoned it, because you can see it is not really swept or cleaned up.
We are heading back, and that is exactly what is happening. We are wrapping things up here.
There is only this temple to see, which has a strange smell inside. I took a look in there, as you might have seen. There is this other temple, and that is pretty much it. Is it worth it? Not really. What we saw, the temple we visited at the end of the first episode, was amazing and definitely worth checking out. Here, not so much unless you are just passing through. I will also show you the price, so how much it costs to enter this attraction, if you can even call it that. On paper it sounds interesting, but in reality it is not that exciting. In my opinion, you can skip it if you do not have much time and would have to go out of your way to get here.
Since I already mentioned the price, I will add that you can probably guess that in places like this, everything is expensive.
For 3 small, probably half-liter bottles, we paid 60,000 dong. As you remember from the previous episode, we have this favorite little restaurant that is open from 6 in the morning until 8 in the evening, not until 8 at night. There, you can get a great meal for 40 or 45,000 dong, including a drink, chicken and noodles.
Yes, so that is how it adds up, but for us, or even for people working in Poland, it is not really any kind of expense.
Sorry, something is blowing sand in my eyes here, and I am totally dried out too. We are going back to our car. I will show you what we are driving. On the way to the next stop, we passed farms of fruits known in Poland as pitaya. This fruit comes from a cactus and is especially popular in tropical regions of the world, including Vietnam, where it grows in abundance. It has a unique appearance, with pink skin and green or yellow leaf-like scales resembling spikes.
It is no wonder that its English name is dragon fruit. My parents bought a white one at the market and I was convinced it was unripe, especially since it was green on the outside, not red.
My mom cut it in half, sliced it like an avocado, and what can I say? It was absolutely delicious.
It is true that there are lots of these little black seeds here, but you can hardly feel them, and they do not get in the way of enjoying this delicate, slightly sweet flavor that reminds me of a mix between kiwi and pear.
Dragon fruit is valued for its health benefits.
It is rich in amino acids, vitamin C, fiber, and health-promoting compounds that support the immune system and digestion.
It can be eaten raw, added to salads, smoothies, or desserts.
If you ever get the chance, I really think it is worth trying.
It is worth adding that this cactus bears fruit all year round. Every 2 months, you can harvest fresh fruit.
The farms we passed by looked ready for harvest, with fruit ripening on the cacti.
Others were either beginning a new growing season or had completed harvesting.
We pack into the car and drive on. However, the way our driver held the steering wheel caught my attention.
Those who have never been to Vietnam may not know that on the streets there, you can constantly hear car horns.
You do not get that in Malaysia, but in Vietnam this phenomenon is taken to the extreme. If you look at the traffic there, you can partly understand where it comes from. In Poland, it is unthinkable for the chrome from the emblem on the steering wheel to be completely worn off, down to the bare plastic, like in this Toyota used as a taxi. Our driver is so used to using the horn non-stop that, even on the road, he does not take his thumb off the button. The result? In this spot, the chrome is worn down to the beige plastic. Another attraction is the Moonshine Distillery. Just kidding. Basically, it is a winery, so we can taste the local wine, or if no one wants wine, you can get some juice to drink.
I would be happy to try the local wine, and I think I will, but it is already 1 o'clock and we still have not had breakfast yet.
RD Wine Castle is a place inspired by California's renowned Napa Valley. The castle is the first facility of its kind in Vietnam, built in a medieval style, and as you can imagine, a castle with lush palm trees growing around it is quite an unusual sight.
Since it is a winery, of course, a winery can't be without grapes.
So everything's stretching out behind me. I can see it from over there to here. Well, it's not really a huge amount, but is this just part of the decor? Or are these the vines that are actually used to make the wine? We will see. This place radiates peace and almost gardening perfection. There are statues behind me. They are much smaller than the ones on Easter Island.
Like this?
Nice decoration, right? We have passed the entrance gate, and I see a very nice carriage. One painted gold. Let us get closer to it. Once again, the commercialization of attractions in Vietnam seems to be working out well for them. The attention to detail is absolutely amazing. However, the main attraction here is the basement, where there is a wonderful, almost magical coolness. The bottles are aged here for several or even dozens of years. Here, when it comes to the numbering on the bottles, it means qualification. The higher the number, the better the wine. Here, you can see that this is 99, which means it is one of the best. This is a limited edition, with each bottle priced at $300. I'm not a big fan of wine, but I actually quite like Merlot. Here I see there is Cabernet Sauvignon as well. I do not recognize this one. Over there is one that is also well known from Lidl and Biedronka markets. Here we have these excellent lounges where you can sit down. The food is not real. There is no wine either. It is just so you can take a picture and pretend you are someone like a king.
It is kind of strange.
Back in the day, when it was hot, they used to do it in such a way that there were bottles of wine, and to keep them cool, they would just put them in the well.
Here, they let us smell the ones with number 55, while further on, we have Chardonnay and those.
The color seems really beautiful to me, and the aroma is also exceptional.
even though I do not like white wine. It really does not sound, it just really smells beautiful. Not a bad bar at all. What should I do? First look at it, sniff it, try it, hold it for 2 or 3 seconds, and savor it or draw conclusions.
Here we can see how beautifully these bottles are packaged.
Really, when it comes to the way this is delivered, it looks really elegant. Here is the 99, probably the most expensive one, with a corkscrew. It looks neat. As you can see, these lounges are not useless, right? You could even eat a kebab in a room like this. It depends on what someone likes, what they are used to.
God, what a disaster.
We went outside, and inside it was probably 14, 16 degrees. We absolutely did not feel the cold. It was just relaxing. At the moment we went outside, I could tell you was 31 degrees.
Even though we are in the shade, it is instantly scorching hot.
I also finished my glass, my wine glass.
My beloved's glass because she does not drink.
I mean, she does not drink, but we can try, right? One more store, and...
Alright, the air conditioning is on again, it is better now.
More things to buy, but this already looks cheaper. Just look, here you can also get that 99 if someone wants it. It is a nice little box, great for a gift. If you are flying with these airlines, remember that you have to transfer. Remember that you have 30 kilograms of checked luggage, so you could take something like this. But it is still a bit of a gamble to carry bottles of wine with you, right?
Unless you drink it on the spot, if you like, maybe I will ask about the price. The lady does not speak English very well, but I asked and she said this one costs 650 euros, while that 99 costs 190 euros.
You see, if you pay in dollars, if you are from America, then for the same bottle you will pay 299.
If you are from Europe, then it is 190 euros. That is quite a difference, but as with everything in life, it all depends on how much you are willing to pay for the same product.
It is possible that you might buy the same wine even cheaper at the airport, but I want to emphasize that this is just my assumption.
Before leaving, visit the small park adjoining the castle. It is easy to miss.
Maintaining the fountains, waterfalls, and the people who take care of all this must absolutely cost a fortune.
Here, by these artificial waterfalls, it is loud, but you can feel a gentle coolness. It is much more pleasant.
Really, if you have already spent some time in 30-degree heat that feels like 34, something like this gives you a truly pleasant feeling.
Right next to it is the fairy tale scenery of the dark forest. There is Baba Yaga with a cage, and there are cobwebs.
There is a golf club nearby here.
If you have played golf, I suppose this looks quite impressive because golf courses are usually really beautifully trimmed, but here you can see you can have a lot of fun.
I do not see those people complaining. Someone over there is trying to take a shot.
That probably was not a good technique.
I am only now going to reveal to you that the entrance fee was 130,000 dong per person. We read online that choosing the tasting option does not make sense because they do not even give you half a glass, just barely a sip at the very bottom.
So basically, that is what we got too. Under normal circumstances, we would not have come here at all.
I have seen many wineries in different parts of the world myself, and as you have probably noticed, I am not a wine connoisseur.
However, this stop was practically a part of the program along the way, so there is no point complaining.
That day really wore us out. Morning sightseeing at Mount Taku, temples, dragon fruits, and all of it on foot, in the sun, and in such heat.
We decided to treat ourselves and go for a massage at a nearby pharmacy.
We chose the option with hot balm for 190,000 dong.
While waiting for our turn, we started looking around this rather unusual pharmacy.
The assortment was unusual. For instance, they have durian-flavored coffee there. Firstly, it is a pharmacy. Secondly, who on earth would want such coffee? If you do not know what durian is, let me just briefly mention that it is a very specific fruit whose smell is compared to rotting meat, spoiled onions, moldy cheese, and sometimes even turpentine and dirty socks. Its odor is so strong that in many places it is actually legally banned. I really do not know why anyone would want such coffee. That was nothing compared to Cobra liquor. You should know that trying to carry such an exotic drink in your bag can end up with it being confiscated at the airport or with a hefty fine.
That is why you really have to be careful with things like this. It is super interesting, but risky. I do not know what this is. Supposedly a Samsung product, maybe you can tell me.
We have already come back from the massage, but we are pretty hungry.
Today, we only had one meal the whole day at our favorite restaurant called Sam or something like that.
That cheap favorite restaurant.
However, we decided that instead of eating a normal meal, which of course would be advisable, it would be better to try some local snacks, junk food that we do not have back home. So we bought this bag and now I will show you what is inside.
The plan for tonight looks as follows.
I chose something like this. I like these whole green seaweeds. I have eaten them many times before. I like them both spicy and sweet. They are just dried with some kind of cheese.
I think it costs, if I am not mistaken, 15 dong. That is what my beloved chose. Pretty typical. You can probably guess what it is.
Here, on the other hand, this caught our attention as probably the most valuable meal for today, for this evening.
These are dried bananas and some other dried fruits. We do not know what it is.
You can see for yourself that no one was particularly forthcoming to describe anything here.
I hope that is the packing date and not the expiration date, because it would already be past that.
Something like this is probably more popular in Korea, I think, because it probably came here from Korea.
Spicy. Spicy chicken, some kind of sticks. It very light. And
some rice wafers. It is not particularly heavy, but it seems quite tasty.
I do not know if it's chia or whatever.
that is our plan for today, to watch some favorite series and eat junk food. However, all of this cost us 95,000 dong. And for that money, we could basically have a proper meal at our favorite cheap restaurant or one dish at the food court.
Tell me, would you try something like this, or would you not want to try this kind of food?
I am already drooling because we are really getting hungrier, and it is almost 9 in the evening.
One meal a day is a bit too little.
It has been 8 days in Vietnam, but nothing noteworthy has occurred.
Since around 7 in the morning, I was working on the computer to sort all the raw footage I recorded for you over the previous days, to prepare all the material, and also take care of some other little things.
So there really was not anything to talk about. Tomorrow, however, we are already heading back to Ho Chi Minh.
We are taking a similar bus, maybe even the same sleeping bus. So we will try to record something from that. But now it is 5 o'clock, so sunset is in about an hour. You can see in the shots that today on Saturday there were a lot of people.
It was not just locals on the beach, which was strange, because when we were here before, basically a few times, the beach was empty, even at noon or in the afternoon, and we thought there was almost no one here, but now everyone came out.
So it is actually busier than it might seem.
Today, the 8th day, was spent working and relaxing a bit, but starting tomorrow, we will be back at it and exploring again.
We were supposed to go for just a short walk, but I think we ended up walking for about 2 hours. Still, it was worth it. As you can see, it's 5:51 post-meridian. The sun sets at 5:57 post-meridian, which is what you see there on the bottom right with the little sun icon on the watch.
Look at what a beautiful spot this is. If we zoom in on the sunset, it looks absolutely stunning.
Only now did we have the chance to notice that Moine is a place where time seems to flow differently, as if the rhythm of the day was set not by watches but by the movement of the waves and the sound of the wind dancing in the palm tree crowns. The sun is setting toward the horizon, spreading golden light over the calm waters, while on the shore, fishermen are finishing their daily work. It is the sea that is the heart of this community, not only a source of livelihood, but also an inseparable part of their identity.
We stopped for a moment to check their daily routine. One of the fishermen walked to the shore to pull in the basket boat.
The sun has already set behind the horizon, but there is still a gentle glow in which we can watch as he skillfully pushes the boat out to sea.
We are surprised by the way he maneuvers with a single oar. With precision and ease, he skillfully guides the boat forward. After reaching the larger boat, the two fishermen begin to transfer today's catch to the smaller vessel.
You can sense that their movements have been perfected through years of experience.
The whole operation takes them only a few minutes, but we are not in a hurry.
Such views, such light are literally a rarity. The setting sun paints this scene with pink, orange, and purple, creating a beautiful gradient in the sky and reflecting in the water.
You can also see darker shades of blue and navy, especially in the deeper parts of the ocean.
This palette of colors fills us with calm and melancholy.
Look, it seems that some family members have joined to help these men.
Children are playing in the sand, their laughter mixing with the sound of the waves. That is how their day ends, in the rhythm of the sea, among loved ones. The scene, though simple, has something hypnotic about it.
It is something that prompts deeper reflection.
Good morning. Today we're returning to Ho Chi Minh.
Shortly after 7 o'clock, life has already begun, as you can see behind me.
It is no surprise as the sun rises at 5:50 and is already shining brightly through the windows.
We are going to have breakfast here, and for the first time, we will try out this local cafe.
Well, why not? We have been here for about 4 days, so it is worth taking advantage of it at least once. We are waiting for the bus, again the sleeper bus, which will take us to the big city.
Today, as for today's plans, they are not too complicated, but tomorrow will be much busier because we are going to Monkey Island, where we are supposed to spend practically the whole day, come back for an hour, change, freshen up, and then we are going to the opera.
Avocado toast with egg, 60,000 dong, baguette with the same at the same price.
It is not cheap, especially while compared to our favorite restaurant, but it is hard not to appreciate the convenience. It is literally just a few steps from our cottage, and as we know, you pay for comfort. We are already waiting for the bus, but what caught my attention was an unusual Vietnamese-style electrical installation.
An outlet covered with a cutout bottle. Real professionalism. I wonder if they put an extra fuse on it.
Our luxurious mode of transport has finally arrived. Time to go back to the big city.
We are already on the bus and we have set off, but this time we got beds on the first floor, upstairs.
I will show you, because here it looks a bit different.
As you can see, we are moving, possibly stuck in traffic, alternating between moving a bit and standing still.
I also got a blanket. This time it is not super packed, and I have a soft little pillow behind me.
However, the front looks different here. There is some kind of little gap for your feet.
It would be hard to put your foot in there, at least that is what it seems to me.
What is more, to even get up to that little floor, I just jumped up from the ground. I mean, you can grab onto this handle here and just climb up normally.
Now I just noticed that these holes are actually a kind of ladder. So if someone is shorter, they can use 1, 2, 3, 4 steps to climb up.
We are in the second row, and that is how it looks.
Here we also got water. There is another cup holder. The television is turned off. You can... Does it work? You have to press harder. There is a little light on, very similar to what was before. Here you also have all the air conditioning.
That is what it looks like. Here, the light is a bit different. However, if I am not mistaken, behind me, there is not a light like the one there was before. So there is not one. This little one here is for the reading lamp, but it would be hard to read with it here. As you can see, this is how the route goes. We are already heading, actually.
The bus was a bit late. What time is it? After 9, let's say 45. We waited for a while, but it all worked out. You can see here there's red, green, blue lighting all over. That is some kind of light. It gives an interesting vibe throughout. At night, it definitely looks nicer. As you can see here, there is no curtain, but I think this curtain is supposed to cover both sides because I see over there it looks the same way. Every cabin, you could say every seat has only one curtain. I will try it out in a moment. That is it. You can do a bit of work, lie down, relax, and that is it. We are heading to Ho Chi Minh. Actually, I had not noticed this before, but here you can see hinges on both sides, and I was wondering how to lift, or if you can even lift this seat, and it turns out you can. You just need to pull this lever and then pull the whole backrest. I had to switch to my phone because right now there is very little space. I am already getting blocked here, but you can see that I lifted the backrest. You can basically set it to a sitting position, and when I let it go, then you can adjust how you want to sit.
It is an interesting feature. It is a pity I did not know about it earlier, because it would have made working more comfortable.
It might want to move alone, but it really requires two people. Pull with one hand, pull the backrest with the other, and set it as desired. Honestly, wouldn't you enjoy traveling like this in other countries, including between major cities in Poland? It would not be bad, right?
Buses like this run here both during the day and at night. It is surprising that there are not any like this running all across Poland, between the sea and the mountains.
After about 2 hours, we paused for our first break, where they provide slippers for the duration spent outside.
The place seems clean, well kept, and there are delicious smells in the air.
I did not want to be pushy, but I thought you might be very, very curious about what the bathrooms look like in countries like this.
I only recorded a snippet, so I will pause this image briefly. Look at this scenery. It is an open bathroom. Basically, there is only a roof here.
This place reminds me of the second episode of the 4th season of the series Rick and Morty, titled The Old Man and the Seat.
It has a pretty similar vibe. I am just mentioning it as a fun fact. As for the bus itself, this time we were traveling in a Hyundai Universe Noble.
The trip went great, but have already arrived in Ho Chi Minh and we are waiting for a grab with our bags. The app provides not only the license plate number, but also the model and color of the car, which makes it much easier to find the driver.
On the way, I noticed an interesting invention, an umbrella for a smartphone. After all, in the sun, a phone can get very hot.
The apartment looked less impressive in person than its dreamlike appearance on booking, as evident from the photos.
These windows do not look like windows, but more like a photo wallpaper or Photoshop. Yes, the view from the apartment's balcony is absolutely stunning. The bad impression starts right where you have to carry 30-kilogram bags up narrow, winding stairs.
Someone else's wet laundry was already in the apartment.
We got the impression that a family actually lives here on a daily basis and just moved out for these few days.
The evidence for this is food hidden in the cupboards, various sauces in the fridge, a half-drunk bottle of water, even a beer and half a piece of fruit, and opened ice cream in the freezer.
We were not impressed.
These windows and views are actually quite nice, but it is absolutely a greenhouse on the top floor.
Even with the air conditioning on, we had to open the balcony because the temperature inside was unbearable. The railing on the balcony is so hot it burns. From one part of the terrace, you can walk to the other, which belongs to the main bedroom.
There is even a nice little table here to have a meal or drink your morning coffee.
The sun is scorching our roof. It makes you not want to go back inside. The black curtains sort of provide shade, but they also attract the heat.
After uncovering it, we wanted to see the whole thing, and it looks impressive. The inside temperature is still around 50 degrees Celsius.
I have to admit to you that we are not really satisfied with this apartment, because even though the air conditioner is set to 17 degrees for cooling, it basically does not cool at all, so either it is out of gas or something else is wrong with it.
However, this is the sunny side, and it gets so incredibly hot here that even though we came in about an hour ago, it is still a little over 30 degrees in the apartment.
I am literally sweating everywhere. Look, this is what you call a greenhouse. There are windows behind that, but they are covered, because if you uncover them, it is really bad.
Here is an interesting fact you probably have not seen before. The faucet appears normal, but functions differently. It operates by turning left instead of right.
It works only to the left.
We have only cold water, which of course is about 40 degrees.
I do not know if these pipes go somewhere up or where, but the water is warm, so you can wash dishes with it. Just an interesting fact. Overall, the apartment is nice, but the towels are all wet, so what was hanging here and looked so nasty was supposedly meant for us.
This apartment did not have a single review on Booking at all, and my beloved was a bit worried about that. But I am of the opinion that they have to start sometime, so let us give it a chance and see what it is like.
The thing is, it really seems like someone just moved out for these 2 days while we are here.
This is clearly a private apartment. It appears that someone has recently removed most of their belongings. It is odd. Perhaps it is what someone desires. It is hard for me to judge, moving out of your own apartment like that, but maybe someone is just passing through.
It is hard to say, but it really looks like someone actually lived here and just took their stuff for, let us say, 2 days.
One more thing. When I was lifting the blind, it basically fell on my head.
There was a hook there that was screwed in really badly, it just fell off.
I found a couple of extra screws somewhere around here. I hammered them in using a book.
You know, things like that, it is a bit embarrassing, but it is just bad, really bad.
There is one more thing. Unfortunately, we only got one key to the interior doors, so we ended up locking the bedrooms, both of them.
There is one more issue, because probably many of you have not seen something like this yet. Look, in the bathroom, right?
We have a shower and everything seems fine, but there is no curtain, which is quite common and standard in Malaysia.
This is the first apartment we have had with something like this.
It is an open bathroom, an open shower, water pours everywhere. Water pours over the sink, water pours over the toilet.
We took a quick shower, and now everything is wet.
On one hand, it is nice because the toilet itself stays clean, but on the other hand, if you want to use the toilet later, it is all wet, right? Well, in Poland in the winter that would be absolutely unthinkable, but here inside the apartment it is still about 35 degrees. We have already taken a shower, but we are sweating again. The air conditioning cannot cool us down, so we are going out somewhere to get some lunch, because I think it is already around 4 o'clock. Maybe there will be air conditioning there, because here we are really sweating a lot.
We have gone out, my dears. Outside it is 34 degrees and feels like 38. But I will tell you, comparing to what is happening inside that apartment, it is absolutely cool, delightful and pleasant.
It is much cooler, so it is really unbearable to stay in the apartment.
If it feels like 38 here and I feel incredible relief, then it is easy to imagine what it is like in the apartment. So my beloved was already feeling very bad there and felt really unwell.
We had to go out, but unfortunately you cannot handle such temperatures.
You are walking on the sidewalk, but you cannot really walk. You have to step onto the street every now and then.
Look, it is either a puddle, it is uneven, or someone will come out from behind the corner. It is kind of a letdown.
A moment ago, a guy threw away some paper, because why not? Over there you can see again, we will have to step onto the street. In my opinion, such a situation is kind of unthinkable in Poland. A sidewalk should be a sidewalk, not a place where you just throw out your stuff and people have to walk on the street. I guess you can get used to it, maybe after some time. Or maybe you cannot get used to it. I do not really like it. Well, right now there is not much traffic, but before I took out the camera, I think there were green lights over there and a lot of bigger cars were passing by.
Although we are not vegans, we found a really nice vegan restaurant and ordered something interesting.
I will show it to you now. I was definitely impressed by these mushrooms. Here, you can read about them in English.
That is not all, because besides that, we ordered something like this.
For myself, I took something like pad thai. Everything looks very interesting. As for the restaurant itself, of course, we found it through Google, which means online, which means through Saily.
You can also check what the speed is like here at the same time.
Again, we only have an H+ connection. I do not know if the government even has a contract signed for 4G or 5G to work.
However, I will be honest with you, the upside is that we do not have the internet.
When it comes to our data package, we are still very frugal. We have not even used up 5 gigabytes so far.
You can see that the speed reaches up to 5. It is accelerating a bit more.
Waving this around definitely does not help because we are kind of, maybe not in a basement, but we are on the ground floor between buildings. The download speed came out to 538, and as for upload, we see something around 2 megabits. The ping is still quite high, but on H+, it is not going to be great. However, let us say for typical vacation needs, it is more than enough.
Part of our order has already arrived, and I have to admit, it tastes even better than it looks.
Personally, I really support vegans because thanks to them there is more meat left for me.
Just a little joke, but what we had the chance to taste here was really worth it.
The food was okay, just a pity it lacked meat.
The bigger shame was that the mushrooms we ordered ended up on the bill.
We never got them, and the lady's English was absolutely terrible. She did not even know what toilet means.
We even had to use a translator for that.
It is pretty strange, especially if someone works in a restaurant. He or she should probably at least know what a toilet is.
But okay. The thing is the mushrooms, which I was really counting on because they looked interesting.
I like to eat oyster mushrooms in Poland when I am there. Unfortunately, in Ireland, it is hard to find them, so we never got to have them.
Like I said, they were on the bill. I spent about 15 minutes explaining with a dictionary that we did not get them, but they were on the bill. The lady was nice, but she did not really get it. After 15 minutes of trying to explain, they were finally removed from our bill and we are going for a walk. The sun is already setting. Maybe we will sit for a while.
Here you can see the street where we live. There is a little river here. The view behind me is really stunning.
There are a lot of flags on that side. Let me turn around. I will go over there. There are beautiful Vietnamese flags.
Over there at sunset, it will look beautiful. So what is still on the agenda for today? We will see.
However, tomorrow we have a very busy day ahead of us.
Good morning, my dears.
It is after 6 o'clock, it is 27 degrees, but there is no full sun, the sky is cloudy, so that is probably why there are so many people exercising, running and stretching out there.
Well, nothing to do but be envious.
It is Monday, so there is a bit more activity, but we have a very interesting day ahead of us today. You will see.
We arrived by Grab at the trip organizer's office just before 8 ante-meridian.
We waited nearly an hour at the venue. The organization was lacking.
When we finally set off, the bus kept driving around the city, picking up more passengers, which only extended our travel time to the port.
9:30, we are stuck in traffic. Nothing is happening and we are not moving forward.
The most frustrating thing is that the ferry is just a 4-minute walk from us, but we cannot get there on our own.
The vehicle we are traveling in is supposed to serve as our means of transportation once we are on the island.
Moments like these make you appreciate the agility of two-wheelers. After an hour, something finally changes.
Cars are starting to drive on. Motorcycles are waiting in line. We head quickly toward the ferry.
An old tub, but it looks solid. We get on board, and after 10 minutes we set off from the shore. As we leave the port, we can admire the moored warships.
You can see that ferries run this route very regularly and the journey does not take long. Our ferry finally arrives. The gangway is lowered, signaling it is time to disembark.
We have just finished our ferry crossing and we are heading back to the bus, which will take us further onto this little island. Although we got here by ferry, Ganza is not an island, but one of the districts of Ho Chi Minh City.
This is an area with a unique history and great ecological significance.
Unlike the bustling city, which has a population of 11 million, only about 100,000 people live in Ganza.
The local economy is based mainly on fishing, especially harvesting oysters and other marine organisms.
To protect this unique environment, the authorities have introduced a ban on building factories.
In the past, Ganza served as a strategic Viet Cong guerrilla base. Between 1965 to 1970, the region was subjected to intense bombing by American forces and was also sprayed with huge amounts of herbicides, including the infamous Agent Orange. As a result, the mangrove forests and local wildlife were almost completely destroyed. Initial forecasts indicated that nothing would grow here for at least a decade, but thanks to the daily tides, the process of natural regeneration turned out to be faster than expected. After just 2 years, the first signs of greenery returning could be observed.
In 1978 and 1986, an intensive afforestation campaign was carried out, in which young volunteers played a key role. Mainly resilient species of mangroves were planted, and as part of efforts to restore the ecosystem, monkeys from the mountains were relocated here.
Currently, as much as 90% of the population consists of long-tailed monkeys, known for their mischievous behavior.
They not only steal items, but can also bother tourists.
The second species are monkeys with shorter, hook-shaped tails.
They are much calmer and friendlier, which makes them less problematic for visitors.
Ganza also has its place in the history of cinema.
Scenes for the cult film Apocalypse Now were shot here. Local forests played the role of the Cambodian jungle. What is more, the region played an important role in medicine. It was here that the polio vaccine was developed.
We have finally reached our destination, the heart of the mangrove forest, known as Monkey Island.
A dense fountain of roots protruding from the water surrounds us on all sides, creating an extraordinary, almost surreal landscape.
As we walk along the concrete path, we keenly observe the island's inhabitants.
Curious monkeys seem to feel exceptionally comfortable in the presence of people. Some of them move skillfully between the trees, but most have come down to the path, clearly hoping for an easy catch.
Young ones, showing no fear, come close, almost as if their curiosity outweighs their caution.
The mother with her baby also hopes for a tasty treat.
This is the friendlier species of monkey, characterized by a shorter, hook-shaped tail. Despite their apparent charm, their behavior leaves much to be desired.
In one moment, they deftly snatch food from a tourist's hand, then quickly run away.
As if they instinctively knew that this was their only chance to get a snack.
As soon as the supplies run out, the mother immediately comes back for more, frantically picking up every crumb that has fallen to the ground. Among them, a young one shows even more courage by coming closer. Although feeding wild animals is generally not recommended, there are no banana trees growing in this forest, and the monkeys were brought here by humans, so it is hard to say that this is a completely natural environment for them. The fact is that they feel good here, although their survival depends on the presence of humans and the food provided by tourists. Do they have access to other food growing on the trees? Well, it is hard to say. However, one thing is certain. They definitely do not look starved. Now we are approaching a group of monkeys belonging to the long-tailed species. We were asked to be especially careful with them because their behavior can be unpredictable. Despite the warnings, my beloved's dad is not discouraged and continues to feed them, as if he wants to see just how bold they really are.
However, you can see that these monkeys feel much less comfortable in our presence.
Their movements are more nervous and their glances are alert, as if they were constantly assessing whether they can trust our presence.
It is quite difficult to film here, because the monkeys can come up and take something from our hands or pockets.
One of them already tried to get to my microphone, even though it was hidden in my pocket.
Most of the material here will be narrated from behind a big microphone, so please forgive me. Anyway, it is pretty calm right now, although there are moments when something runs up and tries to rob us in exchange for popcorn or maybe some ice cream.
If we have it. If someone gets their phone stolen, our guide said that the best thing to do would be to buy some ice cream and then make an exchange. A trade. Ice cream for the phone or glasses.
Here, everyone was also asked to take off their glasses, because the monkeys know they are something valuable and something they can trade for something else.
Yeah, Dad is feeding something over there.
Something like monkeys, yes.
It is pretty muddy here in some places. We can take a ride back the other way. We will see how it goes.
Maybe a walk too. A walk of about 2 kilometers this way among the monkeys.
Right. The ones with short tails are friendlier. That is better. They are more neutral.
The ones with long tails, with which I am right now, at this moment in the area, are more mean and aggressive.
Like gangsters. Something for something else. They might attack or they can scratch.
Small scratches are supposedly okay, but bigger scratches, the ones that bleed, well, our guide said it would be good for us to get a polio vaccine in that case.
So good luck.
We are walking through this beautiful forest. It is 32 degrees Celsius here. It feels like 36 degrees Celsius, but at least we are in the shade.
No, that is not the worst part. The worst part is that it is damn humid here.
Absolutely every nook and cranny of my body is sweating. It is sticky. Well, maybe not sticky, because it is too wet to even be sticky. You just feel like you are melting. We are trying not to drink too much. Actually, we should probably drink more, but you know, it is a trip. You never know when there will be a break. I would not go into the forest here to take care of business. Right here in these parts, maybe there are not any crocodiles, but I do not know if these monkeys aren't worse.
Walking through this biosphere reserve, which is on the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization list, we can admire boats gliding on the calm waters of the canals.
They smoothly cut across the surface of the river, carrying tourists from one side to the other, allowing them to explore the hidden corners of the mangrove forest. Monkeys are not the only stars of this place. In calm waters of the river, Siamese crocodiles drift lazily, majestic reptiles whose wild population numbers only about 100 individuals.
These critically endangered predators usually reach between 2 and 3 meters in length, but the largest males can grow up to 4 meters and weigh an impressive 120 kilograms.
We continued along the forest path, observing the lush vegetation. As the path became increasingly muddy, the route changed to a footbridge, which in some places seemed to be held together by a promise only.
It may not be in terrible condition, but some parts of the footbridge are already quite loose. I do not think you will ever get your shoes out of that kind of mud.
What you see on the tree is a termite nest.
They settle on a tree like that, work on it for a year or two, practically eat it whole, then it falls over, and later they move their nest to another tree.
At the end of this path is the Vietnam-American War Museum. I will show you more or less what is here.
Here is a replica of Vietnamese forces probably preparing for war.
Anyway, you can pause more and read here.
Soldiers hiding in the jungle created clever rainwater collection systems, using tree trunks and nylon gutters to provide themselves with water without revealing their position.
These simple yet ingenious constructions were key to survival, protecting them from detection and being cut off from resources.
Units maintained communication thanks to captured radios, transmitting orders despite isolation.
Secret codes were never compromised. Another attraction lies ahead, as visible. The passage currently looks like this.
Well, I can manage, but I wonder how older people are supposed to get in there just like that, read or look around. There is even a quick response code there to learn more about this place.
The organization of the whole thing, as they say in Vietnamese.
It is nice, you have beautiful trees, it is green, which protects us from the sun, but as you can see, not everyone is able to get into something like this. I am walking on these sticks, some of them are slipping, some are not really attached. I have to say, it is just so-so. You have to watch your step, of course, like everywhere in life, but it is easy to slip here and fall in. There is thick mud down below.
Some little plates. You know what? I remember a flashlight like that in Poland.
They were popular?
See, they often broke and got stuck.
They drained batteries instantly because they were just regular little bulbs.
They also rusted over time. That back cover would get stuck, so it was hard to unscrew it. We now know where that equipment came from.
Well, every country has its own heroes who sacrifice themselves for higher values.